Man of God, let me say something that might be hard to hear. Most midlife crises don't ruin a man's life because of what he's going through. They ruin his life because of how he responds to it. A man feels stuck, and instead of seeking clarity, he makes a quick, rash decision. A man feels restless, and instead of reconnecting with purpose, he chases something new. A man feels empty, and instead of turning to God, he looks for something to fill that void. And those decisions can cost him dearly. It can cost his marriage, his peace, his purpose. Today, we're going to talk about what most men do wrong during a midlife crisis and how to avoid those mistakes. Here's the truth. Feeling stuck is not the problem. Feeling restless is not the problem. Even questioning your life direction is not the problem. The problem is making permanent decisions based on temporary confusion. Scripture warns us in Proverbs 14 and 12. It says, "There is a way that seems right to man, but in the end it leads to death." In other words, not every decision that feels right is right. Here's mistake number one: making impulsive decisions. One of the biggest mistakes that men make is acting too quickly. Quitting a job overnight, or making a major financial move, or walking away from responsibility, all driven by emotion. I know from making a decision too quickly, especially based on emotion. I once wanted a truck. I wanted an F-150 pickup truck so that I could get an RV trailer and pull it so that I could haul stuff. I really didn't need a truck. I just wanted a truck. And so I made this impulsive, rash decision on emotion, and I ended up with a lemon. I ended up spending twice as much money on this vehicle than I paid for it. Here's the problem. When a man is unclear, he becomes reactive. But wisdom requires a pause. Wisdom requires a prayer. Wisdom requires godly counsel. Scripture tells us this in James 1 and 5. "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. Before you make a major decision, seek God first." Clarity comes from that commitment. Seek God first for wisdom and don't act on emotion. Here's mistake number two: chasing excitement instead of purpose. I know we've all been down that road before. Another mistake is confusing excitement with purpose. We get excited and we feel like that's God. It's that feeling. And we feel that it's leading to that purpose. We do it in relationships. I've been there before. We get excited about a new relationship, and you know that God didn't want you in that relationship. Also, sometimes we feel bored. So what do? We look for something new. We look for new hobbies. We look for new lifestyles. Sometimes even new relationships. But excitement is going to fade quickly. Purpose is what lasts. You see, the danger is chasing something that feels good in the moment, but leads to regret later. Scripture is going to remind us of this in Ecclesiastes, that pleasure alone does not satisfy. The right question is not, what excites me right now? The right question is, what has God called me to build and to last? Here's mistake number three: isolation instead of seeking counsel. Many of us, me included, withdraw when we feel stuck. We stop talking. Men already, we do not share or talk too much as it is. So then what happens is we isolate even more and we stop talking and we carry everything internally. Here's the thing, isolation just amplifies the confusion. The Bible teaches in Proverbs 11 and 14, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Strong men do not isolate. Strong men seek wisdom. They talk to other men who are grounded in faith, and they get perspective. They get correction. Let me say it again. They get correction. And most importantly, they get encouragement. No man navigates the second half of life alone. So here's mistake number 4. Neglecting faith when you need it the most. When life feels uncertain. Some of us men, we drift spiritually. I've been there before where I've drifted spiritually because of the uncertainties of life. Your prayer becomes inconsistent. Scripture becomes optional. Faith becomes secondary, sometimes thirdary. I don't know if that's a word, but fourth, fifth, it becomes so far down on your priority list. But this is when faith is going to matter most. And here's why. God provides direction in seasons of uncertainty. Scripture tells us in Proverbs 3 and 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and he will make your path straight. Let me say that again. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, even when it's difficult. We have to trust in the Lord with all of our heart, and he will make our path straight. We can't make our path straight. Only through the strength of God can it be made straight. When you disconnect from God, you disconnect from direction. Here's mistake number 5. Damaging relationships instead of strengthening them. This is one of the most serious mistakes that men make when it comes to midlife crisis. When a man feels internal tension, he sometimes projects it outward. What happens is he becomes distant from his wife. He becomes impatient with his children. He becomes disconnected from his family. But your family is not the problem. They are part of your purpose. Scripture in Ephesians 5 teaches us that a man is called to lead his family with love, not withdraw from them, which is what many of us do in times of crisis. The second half of life is a time to deepen relationships, not for us to abandon them. Here is the 6th mistake that men make in a midlife crisis. Trying to relive the past instead of building the future. How many of us have done that before, where we want to relive those old glory days of how things were? We even go back to high school and we relive that moment, that football moment, that track moment, that girlfriend moment, whatever moment was. We go back to college and try to relive those things from the past. Some men try to go backwards. I've been there trying to go backwards to relive some things. Men try to feel younger. Men try to recreate earlier seasons of life. But God never calls a man to go backwards. He calls us, he calls each and every one of you forward. Scripture reminds us in Philippians 3 and 13, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. Let me say that again. Forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead. Your greatest impact is not behind you. It is still ahead of you. This second half of your life can be the best season ever. but we have to be straining toward what is ahead and stop dwelling on the past. We learn from the past, but we don't live in the past. We have to be moving forward. So, what is the right response? Instead of looking at all these mistakes or making all these mistakes, what should a man do instead? First thing is pause. Pause. Then pray. Seek wisdom. Reconnect with purpose. Strengthen relationships. Move forward with clarity. The second half of life is not a crisis to survive. It is a season to rebuild with intention. Let me say it again. It's a season to rebuild with intention, not a life of crisis in which we are going to just survive. The best is yet to come. Brother, if this message speaks to you, take a moment and reflect. Are you reacting or are you responding with wisdom? To help you think through the next season of life, brother, I created an assessment. It's called 10 Questions Every Man Must Ask Before the Next Decade. Go ahead and click on the link below and take this free assessment. And if you're serious about becoming the man God called you to be, subscribe to this channel, because in the next episode, we're going to shift perspective in a powerful way. We're going to talk about how God uses seasons like this to reset a man's purpose. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.